Yo, hello guys. I'm making a video on Zskarn. I looked at some replays from us, as well as kill videos, and just noted down some key elements that everybody should know. Most of them are obvious, but some stuff might be good to know in order to min-max certain abilities. So, speaking of abilities, let's talk about them. Looking at Embers, how are we gonna deal with it? First off, it's gonna target 4 people with a 5-yard pulsating AoE radius. That's one of the reasons that as ranged we don't want to be stacking on top of melees. We're sort of slightly spread out, but still close for a healing range. And as soon as we get them, we get out of the obvious melee stack. Ideally get in positions for the lines which are not obvious, which has done pretty good. We see the stack over here. Get out these lines behind the boss, somewhere where we are not moving into. At about 2 seconds before the lines happen, I probably call it out 3 to 2 seconds before they happen, just to watch out for lines. That means for tanks, be still with the boss so he doesn't move, as well as if you have the amber, be steady as well. Plus, it gives an indication for everybody else to look out. Where are the arrows? Dodge them. You can also look at the player positioning in order to dodge the lines. Really important because we had a lot of deaths yesterday to those. So much to embers. It's pretty obvious. We had a general rule to keep the path to the middle clear. It's a good idea, but probably not consistent in practice. So in general, just have an eye and be smart about your placement. For knockbacks, it happened as well. I'll probably call out the knock about 5 seconds before it happens, just so that everybody is aware it's gonna happen. Have a look behind you. Think about where you're gonna be knocked back towards to. Sometimes it overlaps with the dragon statue frontal, so you want to get knocked back away from it. Sometimes it happens before embers or after embers. So be aware of that. Never ever get knocked back into traps. They leave a stacking dot on you, which is gonna hurt a lot. So embers and knockback is pretty clear. And that's funny enough almost all the mechanics that we have to worry about. Bombs is being done by our third tank Eli. Ideally, he's gonna do all of them, but if he calls for a backup, everybody with an immunity should look out for it and help him out. He will also loot most, if not all, of the dead golems to get rid of the certain traps. But we'll talk about the positioning of traps in a bit. So when it comes to what are we gonna do with boss positioning and ads, let's look at the first ad spawn. We're gonna keep our positioning as we did. So we're placing these 2 traps over here. By the way, speaking of traps, one thing that's important to know for tanks, as it is for everybody else actually, when are they spawning? They are pumping fire out 3 times and then they spawn the puddle. So as soon as they pump the fire the first time, an indication on they have set their location already. We can see it over here, they pump fire. So this is the moment where the main tank can move the boss already. Being done right here, actually pretty good. So we get into position early before the knockback. Probably actually don't want to turn your back to the boss. That's in general a bad idea. But we have moved the boss. We activate 2 traps. We activate 2 more traps. In this scenario, it's these ones. It's fine as well. Ideally, it would probably be this and moon. These ones are fine. After this has happened, we're moving the boss over to Skull. And why on Skull, you ask? Because we want to bait the dragon statue. Looking at this, I divided the map in 6 triangles. as long as the majority of players are in one of the triangles, this is the one that gets activated, the statue. So if we have the boss on Skull, melees are close, range will be somewhat close as well. If some of us are in the wrong triangle, that shouldn't matter, as long as the most amount of players is in this one gets activated, as well as left and right of it. That means that the safe zone will always be opposite of the one that gets activated. So over here will be the safe spawn where we move to. This one overlaps with the first set of golems. So what we're gonna do is one golem always spawns here, the second one is random left or right of it. We ended up doing what we're gonna do as well. We have one DK A-bomb limbing, this one gets A-bomb limbed in. The second one should be instantly gripped as well. Just single target grip it, look out where it spawns. We cleave off those two golems, trying to kill them before we move. It probably won't happen, so ranged we're gonna finish them off. And if we look at the actual overlap, there's also beams happening before we move. So let's look at it. We move boss to Skull. Embers just get out of the melee stack. Golems have spawned. They are gonna get grabbed in. We cleave off of them. Statue is gonna be baited. Majority is on here, so we bait it correctly. Lines are happening, so we don't move the boss yet. Gonna call out lines are happening. We look out, be steady, don't move the boss, dodge the lines. And as soon as the lines have happened, we're gonna move the boss over to the other side. Move the boss from Skull to blue. In terms of the actual safe zone, you might be able to see it here. The middle one is not a safe zone, but the field after the middle is already pretty safe. So if this one was activated, if the range and melee stack are gonna be over here, this is already in a safe zone. The middle one will be the ones we're marking so that we have a good indication on where to stand. So the first two golems have been cleaved off here and finished off while we are moving. The other two golems will be grabbed once the boss is in position on blue. So they might spawn over here, they're gonna keep moving. They're gonna get grabbed onto the boss by single target grips from DKs. A-bomb limp might not be running anymore at this point. What's really good is single target stuns as long as they're healthy and close. So Rogue, Kidney, Paladin with Hodge, those are really good, and nuke them down before they run away. Those are probably fine as well, as long as we are efficient with our damage output. So after the first set of golems, the general idea about the fight stays the same. What we're gonna do after that is we're filling up the edges of the room with puddles. So moving the boss basically along. Before dragon statues are happening, a few seconds, like 10 seconds, the tanks are moving in position, having the boss on green, and from now on, every dragon statue will be baited on green. So we bait it here by having the boss near green, melees being close, can be on this side as well. Ranged, we can be somewhat spread out. We bait the dragon statue over here, so 1, 2, 3 is activated, and we're gonna go backwards into our safe zone on orange. Sometimes we overlap with knockbacks and all that stuff. Just have an eye out, think about what you're gonna do, where you get knocked back into. That means that we want to have certain fields free of traps. So there is ever a trap in this line, we want to get rid of them. Also here in front, just so the tanks can get in position for that. So we get rid of those. The whole triangle here around orange is probably good to get rid of, just so we have enough space. At the very end, we might only have one line, but those are good fields. Also, if there's ever traps in the way and tanks need to get to the edges, basically we can get rid of this trap so the tanks can move to the edge, and making all the edges basically full with traps. That's going to be the idea throughout the whole fight. Again, Before dragon statues happen, we want to pull the boss over to green. Have this trap raid as well. Bait the dragon statue and then eating back to our safe zone. It will get really messy at the end. Like this, as long as we have this line safe, we should be fine. Yeah, that's pretty much the strategy. The first set of golems is special because we do kill 2 here, move boss, kill 2 here. After that, we're killing all 4 at the same time. The second set, looking at it at the video actually, it will happen at about 150. The golems will spawn before this dragon statue, but we want to kill them at the opposite side. So we don't cleave the first 2 golems instantly. We want to keep them above 50%. We have baited this dragon statue on green. We're moving downwards. The golems here will move towards our direction. And as soon as we are in our safe spot, basically, this is where we grab all the golems in, having A-bomb limb running and trying to kill them. Again, ranged, we are aware that they are running away. Finish them off and making sure that we kick their cast so they don't activate any traps. Knockback, as we see, it always happens from the boss location. So again, we are aware where we want to get knocked towards to. Never get knocked into traps, they hurt a lot. And in theory, it should be an easy kill. There's a bit of a damage check. We ideally want to beat the 5th dragon statue. It probably won't happen. We might get it. A few people might die so far to the theory, but we can survive it with immunities, or if we are actually gamers and have that straight line with about 5 safe fields, we can still manage to get knocked into the safe zone. Yeah, I think that's about it. Talked about all the abilities being aware of. I probably call out the knock and the lines just so that we get consistent to it. All right, thanks for listening, and see you guys in a bit. Peace out.